Good first day. Good energy out there. It was exciting to get back on the field, see these guys. Just get out there and do some ball. We've seen them in the weight room. But thought the organization of practice was good. Thought the flow went the way we wanted it to. Still got to improve. But overall, excited about today, excited about the energy, excited about how we came out there to practice with the mindset, and excited to get to this film and just kind of see, if what I saw out there live is what we see on tape, and then move forward to Wednesday and have another second practice like that and get better. So with that, there's a few guys that weren't out there. Chancellor James is still rehabbing his knee from surgery. Joe Provenzano still rehabbing his knee from surgery earlier in the year. Holden Huff will be out for the spring. Alec Dayans will be out for the spring. Armand Nance is limited right now, but you'll see him practice. Mario Yaku will be out for the spring. Reese Odiamba will be limited in spring practice. Robert Ash will be out for the spring. Jeremy McNichols had talked about him. Gabe Perez will be out for the spring. Deuce Montalei will be limited during spring. Sam McGaskill, he'll be back out, had a little bit of a hamstring. DJ Dean will be out there at times, but limited. Satini Kavaka will miss spring. And all those are for injuries, is why they're not out there right now. So letting those guys rehab, those guys I talked about that were limited, we do expect to come back and have some time at practice. The other guys that are out will be out and be ready for summer due to surgeries.
Anybody you're worried not going to have in August out of that group? Chance or maybe?
We'll see on Chance. Obviously the guys with knees, you never quite know. Chance is further along than he was with his first knee injury, much further along. So, we're progressing him like we should, but I'm sure he feels like he could go out there right now and practice. All the other guys that had some shoulders and some hernias and some different things like that, they'll all be back in the summer, and then we'll have them for fall camp.
I think you mentioned one of the guys out there, the part that we were out there, the ball wasn't hitting the ground, and as a quarterback coach, that's something you like to see, whether it's on air or not, right?
You know what it was? I told the quarterbacks and the tight end group in particular, I think there was one bad throw in there, but there wasn't any drop balls. There weren't many balls on the ground today at all on routes on air, and you like to see that. So all the quarterbacks came out, they were ready. The receivers and tight ends came out there, they were ready to catch the ball, was what they did. So that was encouraging. If we can keep doing that, and we can have that type of tempo, and we can have that type of execution on air, which we should, and that's always the challenge, then it's going to be a good day for us when we start at each and every practice.
You mentioned the quarterbacks being ready. I mean, the fact that this competition is wide open and you got 4 or 5 guys in the mix here, you think that's good to see these guys best every day out there?
Well, we need to. Those guys are competing, and the one thing we told them, every rep matters, and really starting in the meetings. Every question you get asked, every time you have an opportunity to speak, it all matters. And so every time they get out there and they have a chance, rep-wise, they want to make it count. So you see the level of execution today. Hopefully that continues, but you kind of see that focus that each guy brought. And some guys got 2 reps in a series, some guys got 6, and they all were good, during that time.
I don't know how much you were able to watch Brett throw since he's been here, if you could at all. But what did you see from him in his first day?
Well, I saw him throw live in high school, at a game. There's a few things we got to work on. I mean, we have a style of how we coach it and what we want. He's able to throw the ball, obviously, but there's a few things we want to change and work on, and we're doing that right now. So he's going to have to adapt to what we're doing. We haven't had a chance to really work on that until today. So from today's practice, we'll go back, watch the film. We've worked on a few things, but he's got to focus on, like a lot of guys, certain things that are going to help him improve.
What's the biggest difference between the first practice this year and last year?
Man, knowledge. Just guys, the anticipation of what's coming. The expectations of how we practice, and the coaches too. From drill to drill, getting guys lined up, set. It's year 2. You're doing it again, and hopefully we're doing it better. And we talked about that further, faster. And today there wasn't a whole lot of mistakes, and that doesn't mean that we're where we need to be at this time or we're further ahead yet. It's the first day of practice. We're in helmets. But what I did feel good about is the guys were transitioning from drill to drill. They knew what to expect. They know that the tempo and how we're going to play. and we went out there and executed. And we'll go back and watch the film. We'll have to clean things up. But as far as the practice structure goes, it was much better.
Saw Tyler Horn back out there today. Is he full go for the spring? And how'd you see him kind of handle the adversity at the start of his senior year?
Well, I think for him, he gray shirted, and now he's playing. This is like his 8th year of playing, right? It seems like. So when we decided to redshirt him, that's disappointing. You'd like to leave with your class. You'd like to obviously play that season. He wanted to be a part of it. He wasn't. Excited for this year, and he'll be full go through the spring. There's no doubt on that. But just getting him back in the mix, get him out there playing. He's excited to do it. We want to keep all these guys healthy, but there's a guy that's really been preparing. And if you look at him now, he looks different. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's ready to go out there and compete. And you know what, I'm excited for him. We'll see what happens throughout the spring, but he's definitely a guy that we felt last year was going to be a big contributor. We feel the same way this year.
Outside of stuff that you saw on the field today, have you seen anybody like over the last few weeks that you guys have been doing unofficial stuff, step up as leaders that maybe surprised you?
Outside the regular guys, not really, not yet. Darian Thompson, Dante Dion, Tanner Vallejo, those guys on the defensive side have stepped up. Kamalei Correa, Marcus Henry on the offensive side, Jake Rowe, guys that have played. They provide leadership when it's needed. Has anybody just taken over that role? Not yet. And it's really not the time to do it. You'll see it as practice goes on. You're going to see those guys take over a situation in practice. And by the end of spring, we'll have some guys identified as our leaders. You're going to have some guys going into summer that you're going to lean on. You get into fall camp, you're going to have your captains at some point, which the team votes on. So we'll get to that. But everybody has really led at some point. I don't think we have one or two guys that just do it the entire time. Everybody's kind of stepped up when they needed to, which I like. And to me, that's what leadership is. When you need it, you provide it. And everybody's had a chance to do that.
You take Jeremy out of the mix at running back for the spring, and you got a lot of guys who seem like they're kind of evenly matched. What do you expect out of that competition?
I don't know. That's the one thing I'm still waiting to see. I want to see Corey Young. I want to see Devin Demas. If you look at Devin right now, he looks different. He's bigger. He's stronger. Charles Bertoli, Jack Fields, those guys that have played, Ryan Wolpen, who's a walk-on running back who we think is really good. We've seen Jeremy play. We'll get him back in the mix come summertime and all that. But that position, it remains to be seen. And that's not a negative thing. That's just we need to let those guys go out there and play. We need to see them in pass protection. We need to see those guys probably work together a little bit better than just having Jay out there. So, we'll see. Those guys know it's a big challenge, just like the quarterback position. You got a guy that left early to go to the NFL, all right, who's going to step up and fill that role. We'll see, and those guys will have their opportunities in live scrimmages to do that.
Maybe that's the spot for you, but aside from your time watching the quarterbacks, is there another position this spring that, or at least early on, that you're focused on or wanting to pay attention to?
Yeah, really that whole secondary. The nickel, safety, not so much the corner spot, but probably the nickel and safety. You got Cam Miles back there, you got Cam Hartsfield working in there, Mercy Maston, DSG. Darian. I feel good about. We kind of know what he's able to do. What's that rotation going to look like? What's that nickel position going to look like? We moved Tanner from nickel back to Mike. Do we have a guy that can step up and really play nickel? Because if we don't, we're going to have to put Tanner back at nickel. And to me, that all kind of bases around that whole safety nickel position. So, today, hard to tell. When we start playing real football, we get in pads and all that, and they're able to fly around and make plays, we'll know a whole lot more.
Going back to the running back spot, can you envision a team being successful using 2 or 3 guys instead of one like last year?
Well, that's what we did for a lot of years. You had Doug, you had DJ, you had Jeremy Avery. We really had that combination. I guess last year was really a first for me to have one guy that just wouldn't come out of the game, and Jay did everything, and he was durable, and he was able to do it. He was really good at it. So we're kind of going back to the formula that we've used for so many years, where you have a guy, probably 2 guys that are really in the mix. You may have a third guy that you start the game and everybody's got a role, and you go with your 2 guys that are hot, let them run the ball, let your third guy kind of do some specific things. So we'll see. Now, if one of those guys emerges, I don't know, McNichols might step up and be the guy, that could do all those things, but that really hasn't been what we've done in the past. This is more like it with that rotation.
Can't remember if we talked to you before Pro Day. So, Grant, obviously your quarterback from last year, going out there Pro Day, he's gotten a little attention since the Fiesta Bowl as a pro prospect. What do you think of how he would fit in that style of game?
Well, here's a guy that led the country in completion percentage. I mean, really, you know, as a quarterback coach, that's what you want. You want a guy that can complete passes. Grant, to me, the way the season developed for him, he became one of the better quarterbacks I've coached. And just his knowledge of the game, the way he plays it, his feel for the game, obviously his accuracy. To me, if I'm looking for a guy in the NFL to do all those things, I'm looking for a guy like Grant. And he showed it. And he played at the end of the year on the biggest stage and had, I don't know, it was 14 completions in a row. I mean, he really stepped his game up. So when the moment got to its biggest, he played his best. To me, that says a lot about how he finished his career. And, you know, what does that mean for NFL teams? I don't know. But here's a guy that knows the game. Here's a guy that's been through a system that's pro style and spread, that can get on the board and talk to you. And here's a guy that can throw it and can make all the throws on the field and has the strength to do it. So I hope he has a great pro day. I hope other coaches see that and give him an opportunity. If he can get his foot in the door, he's going to have a great chance of making the team.
Offensive coaching staff shuffled around a bit this year.
Yeah.
How did that change anything for first practice? Anything different out there?
Not really. You know, we operated the same way. You know, that's why, you know, with Coach Drink, you know, being at the quarterback position, you know, it's just like Coach Sanford. You know, he's doing the same things. He's coaching the same area, you know what I mean, on the field of how we operate our practice. I'm still in the same spot with the quarterback. So that's probably why we were able to transition faster today. You know, drill to drill and guys knowing what to expect. I mean, our operation really hasn't changed. We're trying to fine-tune it and get better at it. And you know, he's a big reason why we're able to do that today, because he understands it. He did that at Arkansas State, so it's not new for him. And, you know, I thought today went pretty smooth from an offensive standpoint.
You mentioned Darian and Dante. How nice is it to have two veteran guys like that back in the secondary, and as they both enter their senior year here, what have you seen from them that maybe they want to take the most of this last year?
Well, you know, both those guys, they're good players. You know, what's going to elevate their game? Well, knowledge of the game. You know, I think for Dante, you know, anticipation. You know, kind of getting a feel for that quarterback. What's he thinking? What's he going to do? Can I anticipate this ball better? Darian, communication. He's going to have some new guys out there he has to, you know, get directed. So they both got plenty of things to work on. And you can go back last year. Those guys are good players. They have a lot of stuff on tape that they can improve on as well. The thing about those two, you'll see them in there watching their film and taking notes on what they want to get better at. Bottom line. So having them back, the knowledge and all that is good, but there's plenty for those guys because they want to take their game to another level that they have to improve on. And so that's the push that we keep, you know, coaching those guys on. Is it might be different than somebody else, but hey, what about this? What about that? That's the challenge each and every day.
Another secondary guy, DSG, from year 1 to year 2, what do you expect out of him, and what have you seen him grow at from when he started here?
Well, he's bigger, stronger. You know, he's a better football player now, just body-wise. He's mentally sharper because of being through the system. You know, so not to play like a freshman. I don't think he really did. I think he went out there and he played well, but not to play like a freshman. You know, to play like a guy that has experience, to play like a guy that's been out there and been in some big games because he did, and to show that in practice, to show that through some leadership, through some coaching out there on the field, communicating to other guys. You know, that's what we want to see. You know, just see him grow up and use that experience from playing, you know, apply that and be a better player overall.
So what's your schedule as far as when you go to like shoulder pads or anything like that?
We got one more helmet practice on Wednesday. Friday we go to shoulder pads, and then Sunday we're in full pads.
Do you see nerves from younger players in these early practices?
I got nerves out there in every practice. You know, I've been doing this a while. It's the first practice, absolutely, because sometimes they're trying to do things so perfectly that they make mistakes, and then they know it, and they know why they did it. These guys are smart guys, so you know, for us, it's to get them to relax, go out there and just play and do their very best, and we'll coach them up off of that. But yeah, every day you step out there, even the veterans, they come out there, they're jittery. You know, they have a lot to prove. You know, Brett Rippon, you know, he's got to grow quite a bit. Tanner Vallejo, he still has to grow. His level is completely different. You know, he wants to be his very best. So those guys, yeah, they're both nervous because they're trying to improve at their level.
Good? All right.